Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our weekly broadcast this week. It's Thursday once again, and we've just been having an interesting discussion before going live on ancestors and productivity and how to get the most out of a day. So that's maybe a topic for another event. We'll deep dive into that. But absolutely delighted that you've been able to join us once again today for our special weekly broadcast. So for those that don't know me, my name is David Johnson. I'm the CEO of Leo Crowdfunding. We're an equity property crowdfunding platform, and we run this 30-minute, fast-paced, informative, educational broadcast every week. It is then recorded on our YouTube channel, and I know we've got a number of people who really enjoy tuning in sort of after the live event and catching up on our various topics. My co-host every week, as normal, Mr. John Corey. So John, introduce yourself, please.
Good day, John Corey, Property Fortress, and this is where I say the people watch the recording so they can skip over the boring bits that David and I are in right now.
Exactly. But there's always new people that will have to do those sort of formal intros, the way the game works. So yeah, you can see on the screen there, we normally have the roughly the same format. We're actually going to change it today a little bit. We've got a couple of really fantastic guests on today. So format's going to change. We're going to literally dive straight into it. But first of all, it of course would be amiss of me not to mention that today is a rather special day in the annual calendar. This is the day where everyone in the world, or almost everyone in the world, somehow finds an Irish ancestor and want an excuse to either take a day off or maybe head with some friends to a local establishment. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody, of course our patron saint, and I thought I'd throw in a couple of what we call Irish blessings, as they referred to. So the first one there: may the roof above us never fall in, and may the friends gathered below it never fall out. So that's a pretty good aspiration as you walk through life. Another one is, and this, I like this one, John, this is where I must get this frequent comment I make about people looking for the hole in the donut that people find sometimes amusing when I say that, but it is actually an Irish proverb. As you ramble through life, whatever be your goal, keep your eye upon the donut and not upon the hole. So there we are.
That one, David. I quite like that one. Mainly because I really like donuts.
I went to Dunkin' Donuts for the first time in years yesterday because I had to do some blood work, and I thought, oh, there's a Dunkin' Donuts close by.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting concept with those who look for the donut and those who wonder about the hole in the donut. But yeah, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah,
particularly around
it's like half full, half empty.
Yeah, no, but it's an interesting concept for marketing is like the polo mints. So for years they marketed polo mints, and then they started to market like the bit they took out of the polo mint, and they started to market basically the whole of the polo mint. Just an interesting marketing ploy. But anyway, more importantly for today, we have hopefully Susie's going to be able to join us. She's actually on site, but we did announce 3 speakers around the theme of a normal Irish shamrock with 3 leaves. Tina, Rosey, and Suzy. But then we added in a 4th late entry, Leina. So let's explain who she is in a minute. So I'm referring to
because a shamrock has more than 3 leaves?
Yeah, because the special shamrock everyone looks for in Ireland is the 4th leaf, the 4-leaf clover. It supposedly brings special luck and charm. Not that I believe in that, but it does believe it. So Leina today is the 4th leaf of the clover. But between our 4 guests today, they've actually been involved in raising about 1.48 million from our platform in different projects. So I think we'll do initially, before we get into the discussion about women in property, let each one of them take sort of 60-90 seconds just to explain who they are in their background, and then we can get into our discussion today. So first up is Tina. You want to go first, please?
Yeah, sure. People who have been on the webinars before will probably seen my ugly mug a few times. So I am part of Target 5 with my business partner, Andy Babayan, and Sussex Property Partnership, our letting agent. We've done a couple of raises on the platform. We are a property group. So we're consultants, we're developers, we're sources and letting agents and everything in between. And my background is I've now can't believe it's now 23 years in the property industry, and across the whole of Sussex. So yeah, just kind of working on projects. We do quite a lot of projects at one time, so we're always very busy. Always seem to either be in Bognor or Eastbourne on the same day, and never sort of being able to make the two meet nicely. So yeah, busy property developers, I guess you'd call us.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. You've done a number of raises on the platform, one of which is actually paid back to the investors, which obviously was nice. So fantastic. So second up is Rosey Cassidy.
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, my background in property, not for quite as many years as maybe as the others, but since I was born, the family business is property. My brothers are all bricklaying contractors, so it's kind of in the blood. Just over a year ago, I set up Newman, my business partner Tyler. Unfortunately, he's of the other sex, so couldn't be on here today. And we've done 2 successful raises now with Leo. The one you see on the screen there, Hall Barn Road, 400, and we're literally about to close, am I right, David? On our second one, which unfortunately is behind the curtain. It's a confidential deal. But yeah, really looking to grow in the development space, get these 2 projects on site this year, and then look to move back into the student and PRS model over the next 12-18 months.
Excellent. Thanks very much. So I'll just comment that yourself and Tyler are very high profile on social media. So I know you do a lot of educational events on your YouTube channel, and are drawing a lot of interest of people wanting to watch how you do things and learn from your experience. I know that's proven very successful for you.
Yeah. Just one point, I think I attended lately your bootcamp, Rosey.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it was very, very useful. I mean, well done.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. I don't think Susie's managed to join us. She did say she was going to be on site, and obviously depending what was happening on site, she mightn't just be able to walk away and get on this call. So if she does, she'll join. I'm keeping an eye on my phone in case she texts me. So if Susie does manage to join us, very, very experienced in construction. Started off as a bricklayer and then a roofer, and then obviously very, very experienced in project management, and currently doing a large project down in Devon. So we will hear from her if she joins. And then lastly, Leina, want to introduce yourself, please?
Yes. So thanks for having me, David. It's a great pleasure to be between you. So I'm a funding specialist at PLMD Group, which is a property development asset management group of companies with around 20 million plus asset under management. We recently did a raise on Leo, and it was very successful. It was a different type of investment, but hopefully we will see more of this come in. My background is mainly in finance. After my first MSc in banking, I started in French bank in risk management. Then I quickly realized that it's not the right thing for me. Then I decided to go for another MSc, more specialized in investment. Then I switched and I found myself into properties, where I started the funding arm for PLMD, and we started structuring this type of investment backed by completed projects rather than just raising finance for construction projects. Yeah, and this is me.
Fantastic, Leina. Thank you, and great to have you on today. So I don't know about you, John, but you feel a little bit intimidated by these high-power, successful professional women on the call today, no?
No. So I don't see it as like intimidation. I see it as this is normal. Women successful in property, like, of course.
Yeah.
Why is that intimidating? This is just like oxygen. It's just there. It happens all the time, right?
I wish.
Well, maybe the success stuff takes a little bit of work, but you know, on one hand, I want to celebrate when women are successful, but on the other hand, it's like, do I have to point it out? Is it really that rare? Or because I run a monthly meeting and I would get a lot of women attending the monthly meeting, and they would come up to me and say, wow, you know, it's normal here. There's like 40% women. It's like, isn't that how it's supposed to be? At least, you know, some large number.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's actually the.
Can I just say something on that, though?
Of course, yeah, jump in.
I think that is because women want to try harder to further themselves, so more of them attend some of those high value type things to try and give themselves a bit of a leg up. And that's certainly, what I learned from my mentor. She was, a property developer in the 80s, my mentor, a lady called Julie Frith, and she was like, go to everything, be at the front of everything. So I think that's possibly a bit of a skewed stat, in just like, I wish it was just like, oh yeah, we're there, we're everywhere. But I love that you want to normalize it. So do I.
Yeah. And that is the key. That is the key. And what we want to discuss today is exactly that, is where is the industry really at currently? So let me say, first of all, if anyone's any questions or comments they want to make, or if you want to make a question specifically to one of the panelists, then put it into the Q&A. We don't use the chat box, put it in the Q&A, and we'll be able to ask the question then of any of the panelists. So
Susie's here.
Oh, excellent. Hello, Susie, how are you?
She's on mute though.
Where are we?
She's looking to change mute.
You just need to come off your mute.
Yeah, I'm
there we
unmuted.
go. There we are. There we are. How are you? Good morning.
I'm very well, thank you. I can't see myself, so hopefully you can see me.
Yeah, no, you're perfect. You're right in camera. So take about 60 seconds. I've got your slide on the screen. Take 60 seconds to introduce yourself, please.
Well, I am Susie Jenkins. I have done a crowdfunding raise through Leo for my planning uplift on the Old Woollen Mill Limited, and I'm currently drawing up a very interesting one for the listed building part of it. I work in construction, as you can see. I'm on site with a 50 build set of new builds at the moment, helping out the site management team. I go all over the place sorting out problems most of the time now. Things that have fallen behind, I help put them back on target, or I do very fast-paced projects, sort those out and get them over the line. I have 25 years experience, which started as a bricklayer.
Excellent. And no doubt we'll hear a bit about that when we get on to the construction of this. And Susie, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time. So we're really about to get straight into the conversation. We'll talk a little bit just about people attending events, but I suppose this is a follow-up from International Women's Day, obviously last Tuesday, and we thought we'd bring these ones on. So the first stats on the screen there is specifically around women, total 48% of buy-to-let investors. So before we get into the construction side, any observations on that, or sort of that's a pretty big stat of sort of proportion of women in investing in the buy-to-let?
It is. It's something I've seen an awful lot of. I'd not really till you sent me the slide. I'd not really focused on how many of the buy-to-let investors I'd worked with were actually women, but yeah, the majority are. I think potentially it's because they like to plan for the future, so they look at their pensions and their pot of money and they think, well, if I do something with it now, it'll be then useful when I come to retirement, or actually it will pay for my holidays and all sorts without me worrying about where does that extra money come from. I think it's a very sexist thing to say, but I think that is the bit that women tend to do. So potentially that might be why more women get into the buy-to-let.
I think also there's an element of there has been a shift in mindset to becoming more independent and not being reliant upon the family money or the the job or however that may be, and being more innovative in the way that we are looking to sustain our own futures and our own families, and not being reliant, let's call a spade a spade. There was a time when the lady would stay at home and the man would go and earn the money, and I think there's been a marked shift, thankfully, around how am I going to look after myself, not being reliant on other people, which I think accounts for some of that. And I think there's an awful lot of sensible women out there who see that it's a good investment. So that's
so pivoting on the construction, because I want to come off the slides and bring everyone full screen so people can see better. So just mention the slide and then I'll come on to full screen. So women in construction, I think this actually may be a couple of years old, but this was done by an all-party parliamentary group led by an MP for Sheffield Heeley. So MP Meg Munn, I think, was the vice chair of this. But she, or this report had about 11% of the workforce in construction being women. That even may be lower now than it was before, but yeah, that's really, what are people's thoughts on that, or why that is, and how do we actually change that then?
I mean, I would go on, Rosey, go on. You.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll go, Rosey, you go first, then we can go to Suzy.
I think having been on building sites since I was little, you know, it is a boys' game typically, the way the men on site can behave at times, and it is particularly intimidating. If I don't find it intimidating, I find it hilarious, and I can muck in with the lads. That's because I've grown up in it. Whereas I think, unfortunately, if you just throw sort of your average woman on a building site, sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating, and I think it's just finding ways to build women's confidence into a building site, because to just go in on your own, I'd respect any woman that would do it, because I know what building sites can be like. So I think that's part of it is just building that initial confidence to get women onto site and feel confident in that space.
Mm-hmm. I know, Suzy, you'll have some views now. We've discussed that before, just regarding the environment. You're back on mute now. You want to just jump off mute, and yeah, you've basically grew up in terms of your working life on sites between bricklaying and roofing.
Yeah, I'm the way I was brought up and moving around the world as I did, I'm very, very thick-skinned and with, as you know, a huge sense of humour. But I have seen quite a lot of women really struggle with the banter side of things. And I don't think that educating everybody the way we are now is actually going to help, because all I hear coming back from my daughter at school is, well, we're not allowed to say this, we're not allowed to say that. And they don't grow up accustomed to it. And I think it is how the job gets done on building sites. The banter is a very, very important part of it. And it worries me that the future generations are not being brought up to even be allowed to do it in school, because it's classed as bullying.
I think that there's an element of, because out of those stats as well, the data that I've read is that of 10% of that 11% is in sort of engineering and design roles. So it's actually only about 1% of women that are on site physically doing anything on site. And I think, traditionally it's been a very manual place, and traditionally that hasn't been educated in early years in mainstream education. Certainly when I was at school, there was absolutely no way that we would have been told, even woodwork was like, if you at my age, if you went into woodwork at secondary school, you were like, what on earth are you doing? Why aren't you doing home ec? And it was like, there was this it's a massive mindset that changed, that still, in my opinion, doesn't resonate early enough in education, that we can be skilled craftspeople as well, because ultimately that's what good sites need, is good skilled craftspeople. So I think it actually probably goes deeper, and it's an education thing. And I think Rosey is really lucky that she grew up in a family that was like, no, you just get on with it, get down there, get stuck in. And I had a very similar family mindset. I mean, mine was in a completely different field. We were farmers, so we would just like get stuck in. We had to get on with it. It was like the family business. You have to do it. And I 100% believe that that's why I don't have that closed vision of I can't do it. But if you haven't been brought up that way and educated, then it's a different challenge. But that's a horrific stat. 1% of the construction industry is on site. It's horrific.
Yeah, that's interesting. Leina, can I ask you, because you've obviously got some family in other parts of the world, we're talking about the UK, that 1% stat. In other countries you're maybe aware of, or any experience in, is it similar? Are there any other countries out there that you're aware of maybe have a higher stat than that, or is that pretty norm?
I think it's, I think back home, North Africa and Arabic country, it's even way less than this. I remember a female family member of me, when they went to site, they were really struggling. Even the family was getting anxious because, oh, they're on site. Sometimes they were just hiding that they are on site. So the family just doesn't get anxious when they are there. They used to struggle with the builders, with their male colleagues. They didn't take them seriously. They didn't accept the fact that women can give them instruction. And I think they had to work twice harder to prove themselves. But yeah, they're still there now. But it's way, way, way more different than here.
Okay. So I'm going to be a little bit controversial. So is there a factor in the low number of women involved in what you might call the more manual side of construction, moving bricks around and wheelbarrows? Is there any physical disparity and that tends to that? Or would that be a reason why some people don't maybe employ women, that maybe they feel physically they can't do? I know that's not the case in every situation, but as a general perception, it's like, there's just maybe a difference in strength of the two bodies.
Yeah, I think it'd be naive to say not.
Well, can I have a political answer for you, David?
Go for it.
Which is that as a site manager, project manager, one of the main things I deal with are RAMs, and manual handling is a very big part of health and safety. And the manual handling regulations are that you can only be asked to carry what you can comfortably carry. So technically, there shouldn't be any of that anymore, unless, for example, you're a ground worker, which is very hard work, and I know because I did it. Actually, because of the way that mechanization in the industry has evolved to take care of people, that physical issue that used to be there isn't there any longer. The perception may still be there, but the actual problem isn't.
And again, I think it comes, I hate to harbour this point again, but education again. So, again, when I was at school, I was only allowed to play netball, or I was only allowed to do gymnastics. I wasn't allowed to do the physical sports. And that's changed massively. That is something that has changed massively. So I think there is an element of strength promotion coming into schools now, which I think will hopefully make a shift in that area as well. But I think Rosie's right. I think we'd be naive to not, and I think that is twofold. I don't think it's a perception that is, I don't think that we're not asked. I think women don't want to do it as well. There's that part of it. It's not entirely the industry's fault. There's an element of there's a lot of women that don't want to do that side of it. So
that's a very good point.
It's not, let's not be sort of man bashing in this conversation.
I'd be the first person to say, although I will be on site, I don't want to get my hands dirty. I get my nails done twice, once every other week, and I don't want to be breaking my nails laying bricks. If my brothers were on price work and I was a labourer, I'd be getting shouted at all day, every day, and I am fit and strong. But if the brick, and I do tend to speak more from like a bricklaying perspective, that's more where my sort of closer expertise is. If they're on price work and they're they get paid for the amount of bricks they lay, and they're a gang of 3, 2 brickies and a labourer. If I was the labourer, I'd hold them up. Put it simply, because I know how quickly my brothers can lay bricks, and I wouldn't be able to. Obviously, I know the forks would bring the bricks closer, but there still have to be an element of hod carrying them up and things like that. And
I think that's the point. It's the right people for the right jobs.
Yeah. Whereas on electrics or something, or something that's a bit less physically demanding. I don't think it becomes as apparent by any means, or plant machinery, driving that, I don't see a discrepancy. But where physical strength is required, I think men are stronger than women, and that's just also, horses for courses.
The portion of physical labour that's on site to get the job done, and Susie will probably have a view on this, is actually proportionately small. So in theory, therefore, those numbers should still be bigger. But I do think that it is about choosing the right person, the right job. And I come back to what John said earlier. There shouldn't be a divide. It's sad that there is, and the reality is that there is. But it should just be who is the right person, not oh, I need to employ a woman because my stats are low, or I need to employ, you know, a particular ethnic background because my stats are low. It shouldn't be that. It should be the right person for the right job.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Tina, everyone would agree with that.
I have actually had that, David. I've had a couple of times I've been told, oh, well, we hired you because we needed a woman, but actually you're good at your job, so it's all right.
Thanks very much.
that was the bonus. Yeah. Well, you make a good point, Tina, regarding education. So someone has put in the Q&A here about apprenticeships, and that actually makes a lot of sense, because if maybe more women went on apprenticeships, at least to maybe get an understanding of what the job is and learn, and on the education side, that may help more people choose that career as perhaps an unknown over exactly what's involved.
It does need to get in front of them at school, though. You know, I mean, right now, I don't know if that's happening. That's probably something I would definitely happily, and I've done it in the past when I was in a state agency, I would go out to education facilities and say, it's okay, you can be a state agent if you're a girl, which it never used to be that, even, you know. So and I actually used to do some mentoring with some girls, but getting it in front of them early enough, that's the key. Not sometimes by the time an apprenticeship scheme comes across your desk, it's almost too late. That makes sense. Okay, we've sort of 3 or 4 minutes left on this topic. John, I've never heard you so quiet on a broadcast. Any observations or comments? Yeah, and then we'll go back to everyone for one last comment from everyone after John.
There's intelligent people speaking, so I'm happy to listen.
Good answer. So why don't we take let everyone have a final sort of summary or final comment. So do you want to go first, Susie, just in case you have to drop off again?
Yeah, I do. I probably do need to get on. I actually incidentally have a list going in my daughter's school that she is drawing up, most of which are girls who want to come and get work experience with me at the Woollen Mill. So I think if that is something that is rolled out a lot more, the biggest issue is the constant insurance problem. Yeah, but I'll find a way.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay, no, that's brilliant. We'll go around the bottom then. Rosey, do you want to go next, please?
Yeah, I think, although obviously we've commented on maybe some of the negatives, from my experience, being a woman in property has overall been positive. I was also raised that my gender wasn't even a question. It's never, oh, you've done well considering you're a girl or anything. It was just, it was non-negotiable. I think at times I need to show myself a bit more than a bloke would to get that respect, but then once I do, I definitely get way more respect than a guy would in my position. It almost comes back double, and I can get away with so much more. I can bat my eyelids at the plumber and they'll stay a bit longer, and I can definitely I've been in conversations with banks where I can basically turn around and call them an idiot, whereas if Tyler did that, they would, their egos would be hurt because a man saying it, but because it's coming from me with a sweet voice or whatever, I 100% get away with so much more being a woman, and I consider it actually a benefit overall to me in property.
Okay, very, very, very honest, and that's that's another sort of topic on the whole environment. Yeah, but brilliant. Thanks for that, Leina.
Yeah, I think I agree with Rosey, because I never thought about property as an industry restricted to men. I've never really thought about it, maybe because of the area I work in, which is less to do with site and construction. But I think, Tina and Susie are right. More educational systems need to be in place for women. And I think that's what we all are trying to do here, if it's by structuring products or helping people learn or offering them easy access to property investment. So yeah, I think we just need to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then Tina?
Yeah, I think, I definitely agree with Rosey as well. There are times when it works in your advantage. I think it also helps to have someone championing you, like when I work with Andy, and quite often we'll be in a meeting with normally a contractor who's tendering for a site or whatever, and then they will not even make eye contact with me because they think he's the developer. They're not really sure who I am for most of it. And then Andy's really good, so he will go, well, I don't know, she deals with the money, you better talk to her. So it does help to have, and I'm sure Rosey will agree, a business partner that has your back, I guess, for want of a better way of putting it, because there are times, and I have in the past come across it, where, you know, I had a call actually once with a developer, and he just kept going, oh, it was a funder actually, and he just kept going, you know, calling the developer him and he, and what the developer he, and I just went, and that was it. I was like, I'm not going to work with this person, because that is part of the problem. But just come back to what John said, I'm actually in the process of trying to put together a networking event, which is women in property, but I don't want it to be just women. I actually want it to be the right people, so everybody gets to meet the right people in the industry. And it's like, you sort of have to pen it, because a lot of women aren't confident enough to go to the CEO, if he's a man or whoever it might be. So what I would really like to do is sort of have an open forum where the gentleman CEO is there for people to talk to. You know, that would be a great thing to do. So yeah.
Okay. No, excellent. Someone's just commented here, maybe just advertise more in female-dominated spaces, which makes sense. You know, we're looking for recruitment into the industry. Make sure the adverts are going in the right places, which certainly makes sense. Okay, so just a couple more slides. If you can all just sort of stay on, I might have just a final goodbye in a minute. And I know, Tina, I need you to comment on something in a second. It'd be amiss of me not to fly the flag for our two women involved in Leo crowdfunding. Aisha Forey is the non-executive director of the company. She's actually a newborn, about 11 weeks old now, so wasn't able to join today. And Brenda is our project coordinator. I did try very hard to get her to come on and ask the questions today, but she politely declined. But maybe next time. But I just want to give them a shout out as part of our team. So John,
being visible matters. So getting people in front of the camera, getting people to show up at meetings. Tina talked about that. You know, being very visible. Rosey talked about that. You know, a lot of success. And it's not male or female. It's actually showing up and being a face people recognize. So sometimes I think it's Woody Allen once said that 80% of success is showing up. So it's about building that personal brand.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Okay, John, so for your Ask John section, someone's asked, following Brexit, then COVID, what impact is the Ukraine conflict likely to have on property development and investing? So I suppose all this news about stock markets crashing and prices going up, can you see any short-term impact or mid-term impact on property investing?
So at some level, and I don't want to make the Ukrainian situation sound bad in the sense of, I'm going to say it doesn't matter. It possibly could interrupt supply chains. It is definitely part of the news cycle. If you're working with Russian suppliers or Russian customers, there's probably a direct impact. If you have Ukrainian staff members, they would be probably very concerned about relatives or family or friends or their home country. But when it comes to, you know, how many people live in Britain, how much housing do we need? Is the project on time? Are we going to get that unit finished? I would argue that it has effectively no impact. Now, it is part of everybody's conversation. It is part of everybody's psyche right now. Therefore, you need to be sensitive to it or aware of it. What we might see is a resolution. They're starting to make noises that may imply there'll be some resolution. It could be ugly. It could be sort of pragmatic. I think both sides are now starting to sound slightly more pragmatic. It's a tragedy. It should never have happened. It doesn't make any sense to me in the West. You know, it's horrible, but at the same time, don't let it suddenly throw you so far off course that you find out that, oh, we had a storm, the weather passed, and now it's sunny, but I lost my tools because I forgot where I put them. Don't get overly focused on this when it comes to your property investing.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point.
Though, we have already seen an increase in build costs. Now, whether that is profiteering or whether that is a genuine byproduct of everything that's going on, which I think is, I suspect we actually pulled out of 2 sales in the last week because we did a re-review of our 2 purchases. We did a re-review of our build costs, and they had gone up so much that it made the project unviable.
Rosey, do you want to comment on that? I'm sure that's something you guys are factoring into the projects you're looking at and things like that. So is there any short-term impact on what's happening in Ukraine on your plans?
I think I'm speaking on behalf of Tyler and I here, you know, so much, if it's not Ukraine, if it's not COVID, if it's not Brexit, it's, you know, before that it was uncertainty around Trump, you know, it's like, well, I guess what I'm trying to say, there's always something. How we try to appraise a deal is we just be uber conservative, so low GDVs, bumped up build costs, high contingencies, so that, you know, even if build costs do go up, because, you know, we could buy a site and then not be on site for a while, or we could be under contract for quite a long time before actually purchasing. You don't have a crystal ball, so it's just finding those right sites, the big margins, trying to add value to absorb the shocks in the market, because we'd, you know, our position is we'd always rather just be in a position where we're just not making as much money versus no longer having a viable deal. So we just try to control what we can, which is having the right margins, versus what we can't, which is a war in Ukraine or a pandemic or, you know, something similar.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, no, very useful. Thank you for that. So just to finish off then, 2 or 3 slides and we're done. So the Becontree Avenue Tidwell Heath project has now drawn down, is now successfully funded. I'm sure Leina, yourself and AJ and the team there are delighted when the funds hit the bank yesterday. So congratulations on a successful raise, and obviously letting you get on now with the project.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the Becontree one. So for those, obviously you can stay into the monthly updates as they come out. I know Leina and the team are planning to really.
I think it's quarterly updates.
Quarterly, yeah.
Quarterly payments, but still
Quarterly updates, quarterly
as well.
payments.
Yeah.
Read the shareholder agreement next time.
I've
That's what
too many to read.
he's got his ladies for. That's what he's got Brenda for.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, Brenda.
No. I didn't say that.
If Brenda had been on. She could have kept me right.
Edit that out.
Correct. So moving swiftly on. Payback Avon Valley Apartments. For those who've invested in Avon Valley, just keep watching your inbox. It's ready for approval for the payout. You'll be sent out the SPV accounts to have a look at before the final payments sent. So just keep an eye on your emails, and you'll be prompted whenever that's ready to review. But again, it's going to be great to get another project. The shares purchased back. So technically, it's not a payback in that sense. Before John corrects me, I'm sure he's ready to jump in and correct me. It's a share buyback by the SPV, but it's almost ready, which is great. And then didn't just quite make view deal today on this one, unfortunately, but we're almost there. So Tina, you want to just very quickly, obviously you can't mention returns or anything because it hasn't been fully approved, but just what is this project?
So this is quite exciting. This is a mixed use refurb and conversion of part of the commercial space under prior notification and permitted development rights, so no planning for all. This, we are targeting, what's really exciting for us, we are targeting the end user as emergency housing or supported living. So this is quite prolific in our area at the moment. It's paying really well. So we've already got someone who'd really like it, so we're sort of keen to get cracking with the work. So
okay, so this should be possibly view deal by lunchtime or early afternoon, but we'll obviously send an email out to the investor base, and you'll be able to go on, download the equity offer document, and obviously make your register your interest if it's something that you want to invest in. So thank you for that. Next week, it just so happens we're bringing AJ back. We're going to have a conversation just around lower risk type investments in uncertain times, as well as being the founder and MD of PLMD. AJ comes with a very interesting sort of investment background and banking background. So it's going to be a wider discussion just about how people choose to make investments and what influences those decisions in uncertain times, which you certainly have at the minute. So that's next week. And that is it for today. So thank you very much, everyone. Any last minute comments before we go? Everyone enjoy today. I think it's been very useful.
Yeah, it was very fun.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Fantastic. So there we are. So thanks much everyone for coming on, and this will be on YouTube within about half an hour, and I'll send everyone here a link just so you have it, and we'll go from there. So listen, until next year's International Women's Day.
Sorry.
Right on cue. There's the dogs bark.